All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Art and the Heart Live. This is the first episode, the first live show. This is something that I've dreamed about for a long time. I've had plans to do this type of show, I guess, for I don't know, like a year or so, and I'm so happy to introduce the first guest, the wonderfully talented Kei Meguro. Please, Kei, introduce yourself, what you're all about, and everything else.
Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody who's watching. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm so honored to be your first guest. We met at Adobe Max, right? 2019.
We
And
did.
I was also an insider, and I'm an illustrator based in Brooklyn, but originally from Tokyo, Japan.
So, for Kay's very humble response, what Kay means to say is she is one of the best illustrators around. Honestly, you are one of the most talented artists
No.
I know. When I think of creativity, Kay, you come to mind so much.
Oh,
Your
thank you so
your
much. That
work
is so kind.
is just incredible, and I'm going to throw up on the screen just a few sort of things. So, um, your style is very photorealistic and is just incredible detail, both analog and digital. And yeah, it's just utterly insane. Like whenever I look at your work, I'm always thinking like, how has this been drawn? Because it's so realistic. It's so good. It's incredible. So
Thank you.
yeah, you've started in Japan, obviously, and come over to New York and work on things. Can you tell us a little bit about how you actually, you know, made your mark in illustration? Because I know you started with graphic design, right?
hmm I have a background in graphic design. So originally, I went to school of visual arts in New York City, and that was in 2006. So I moved here 15 years ago. And after I graduated, I had this whole dream about being this fancy creative director at a big agency. I think that's one of the first impressions people think you have to go into when you do design is you have to be at an agency, all that. So I was pursuing that dream, and I was working 9 to 5 every day at an office after I graduated college. And I also needed a visa sponsorship because I'm not American. And I worked at a couple of big companies. I worked at Sony for a little bit,
Oh,
and
nice.
it wasn't really for me. Working 9 to 5, being in a cubicle, that I really lost the creativity essence
Mm,
in that process of just doing things that are handed to me and
yeah.
just completing these tasks. And I just felt like I was losing my soul, and I really missed drawing and using my hands, like just getting my hands dirty. Like I really missed that because I just
Mm,
the whole thing with paper and graphite and pencil, all the tools I use is that it's messy if you have no control over them.
yeah.
And whereas design, you can just command Z everything.
Yep.
And there is a beauty in that as well, because I wish I could just command Z a lot of things in my life, but it doesn't work that way. And I kind of loved going back to my roots of drawing because I've been drawing since I was a kid, but I just stopped because I found other options in life. But I'm realizing that those are options that I think society kind of said that's a cool thing to do if you're a graphic designer. But I never
Hmm.
really listened to who I am, like my intuition. And it really went down to, okay, I want to start drawing again. So I
Yeah.
was still working 9 to 5. My soul was slowly draining, and I just knew that I need to get back into drawing. So I started posting on Instagram every day. This is like 2012, 2013. And I just posted every day. I had maybe 200 followers. And yeah, I just wanted to show everybody that I was still myself, just to my close friends and family, that I still love drawing and I miss it very much. And every day as I post, I was starting to get more followers, just very slowly but gradually. And I just saw that Instagram would be a great platform as a portfolio, as a place to build my community, get to know other people who are interested in what I do. And I remember one day I woke up to over 5,000 followers, and I just didn't know how that happened.
Whoa, that
And
is huge.
I I went from like literally maybe 315 followers or something to 6,000 or something overnight. And that's because I just kept on posting every day, and Juxtapose magazine featured me, and they're like, okay, because they like to feature new artists, like just randos that come out of nowhere. So I just really came out of this crack. I don't have any background in illustration. I'm a graphic designer who just likes to draw. And I still identify as that. I don't think I'm an illustrator, artist, or anything. I'm just somebody who just likes to do what I do since
Yeah.
childhood. And yeah,
Well, I
it
find
was
that
great.
we actually
Mm-hmm.
have we do have very similar backgrounds in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of come from one line of things connected by graphic design, but then we've all had like we both had a sort of side hustle that's gone on and become like a big sort of main
Yeah.
thing. So like for me with photography and filmmaking stuff, and the
Mm-hmm.
design aspect is just sort of it still exists and it's still there. I still tinker with it and play around with it. I'd still call myself a designer, but I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing very little commercial design work these days. And likewise for you, going into illustration, and as much as you would never call yourself an illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anyone who's really as talented as you are when it comes to your illustration.
Oh, thank
I just want to take a
you.
moment, by the way, just
Mm-hmm.
to uh, welcome everyone in the chat. I realized I skipped so ahead on that.
Yeah.
I was so excited on
Oh,
just
it's because I was
going live
rambling. Hi, everyone.
and yeah, I didn't get to properly explain what this whole idea of Art in the Heart is, what
Mm-hmm.
the show is. So the idea is that I wanted to host people on a weekly basis where we can discuss creativity, art, and
Mm-hmm.
background, and hopefully try and ignite some inspiration for people and get to share some of my personal network and friends in the creative community. And like you said, we met at Adobe Max, and that
Mm-hmm.
still is one of the most inspiring events that I've ever been to.
Same.
And the amount of people that we've met and connected over there, and just the sheer talent and artwork is
Mm-hmm.
just so high. But yeah, so Kay, you obviously from Japan, and I've got a very close connection with Japan.
I know.
A lot of the viewers as well are big fans of Japan. The Japan content does so well on the channel. How
Yes.
would you
Mm-hmm.
how would you say your future may have been different if you
Mm-hmm.
hadn't have moved to New York to go
Oh,
to
God.
uni?
Oh, I would have been a completely different person. When I was in Japan, I was very sheltered. I knew there was more out there, but I was very sheltered. I didn't know anything. So I think I came to New York to become more cultured and absorb everybody's energy more. And I just, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if I didn't move to New York. I don't even want to think about that. That's terrifying. But because a lot of I don't know. Yeah. I
Do you
never
think you
really
would have
thought,
still been
mhm.
doing design work? Like, would you have pursued down a creative role? Did you ever have like
Yes, 100,
a okay?
yeah, 100% will still, I think it'll just take me longer to where I am right now if I
Hmm.
stayed in Japan. And the whole thing about finding yourself and finding your identity and your style is that you have to do something that's uncomfortable. Because if you're comfortable, you're going to just sit in your comfort zone doing the same things over and over. But for me, that just got very boring. I was really sick and tired of seeing the same thing over and over. And when you grow up in Japan, I think it's a completely different perspective of visiting Japan.
Mm,
And I love Japan so very much. I love my culture. And I think I really wanted to just bring my heritage and my culture to New York in a more authentic sense.
hmm.
Because in the early 2000s, Japan, it's not like that was so long ago, but I think people just relied on their stereotypes much more about
Hmm.
Japan. So I was just wanted to let people know that there are weird people like myself who speak English and just want to talk about what I love. So I just like want to kind of be a bridge for a lot of people.
So with you mentioned about feeling stale and not wanting to do the same thing over and over. How
Mm-hmm.
does that translate into commercial work? Because one of the things that you've been able to do is craft a style that is so quintessentially you. Like it, I can look at an image and know immediately that it's you. And likewise, I imagine you get hired a lot for that. Do
Yeah.
you have a set of standards almost for when clients approach you of
Mm-hmm.
is is my work allowed to go on your platform? Like, do you have like a barrier of entry? Are you
Mm.
quite strict on who you work with and how you collaborate?
I'm actually not very strict with who I collaborate. I think I'm just really I base everything on my intuition. If I have a good feeling about something, I trust it because whenever I didn't trust it, I was always wrong. And whenever I ignored my intuition and I saw the red flags and just jumped into something, it was always a disaster. Like I
Mm,
feel like we need to know that as a creative, you need to trust these senses sometimes. So usually, no, I don't have any nightmare client situations. Never experienced it so far, thank God. But when I do commercial work, I do ask, how much of me do you want me in this, and how much do you trust me? Because
hmm.
some people would just literally give me like a brief, be like, we just want a girl in this pose, in this vibe, and like a mood board. That's it. And I'm just like, that's it? Are you sure? And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we want your Kei Meguro essence and just do whatever you need to do that thinks that would be like the best way to enhance both of us. And I
Mm,
really love that. I feel like that is a collaboration. If you just allow the other person to thrive and then you just kind of thrive together and just make the magic happen.
mm.
So,
That's such a great point of mentioning like, do you trust me? You know, because
mm-hmm,
you have to be open. If you've reached out to me specifically because
mm-hmm,
it's you know, my style, my work, or my history, my community, all these things. So there is a time and a line on how the brief needs to work
mm-hmm.
and where that develops and stuff. So yeah, I'm probably gonna steal that when it comes to talking with clients. Just really, just kind of like uh, yeah, open with, do you trust me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's work together.
Yeah,
We
I
can go
think
beyond this.
communicating is extremely important. And that's all you need to do because I think I realize as I get older, we go on with life kind of assuming the other person is away or they would just do it for you, or you have expectations for people. And I find that very unkind when people don't communicate their needs to me, but they expect it. And I feel like that's with any relationship. You could be married or this could be a company or a commission or anything. So I try to really just talk to people because even though they are big clients, companies, they're humans. So I think they just really want to get to know you and you need to get to know the company too. And that's the most authentic way to translate what they want to say because what they want, the message they want to send, they're hiring like me to send that. So we need to communicate. And I feel like that is super important.
The people aspect is
Mm-hmm.
so key to that. And I mean, when you look through your work, and I can just show some more on the screen here. When you look through everything, it's just so people based. And
Yeah.
one of the things that is one of my absolute favorite facts about you, and I have spoken about this to many people, is you went and studied anatomy, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm still
So,
studying.
and the whole essence of this, can you just kind of share a little bit more about how you wanted to study sort of like the
Mm-hmm.
body form and muscle and those types of
Oh,
things?
yeah, of course. Oh, I'm just like lighting up because I'm such a nerd. But for me, anatomy is just, I study people, and it really started with me understanding how light hits the face and the skull and the structure of the face and the bones and everything and the muscles. It's extremely important when you draw expressions and feelings and all of that. And I'm like, okay, I went to SVA, a School of Visual Arts. I went to an art school, but I never studied this properly. I think I just kind of skimmed through it because that's what you do when you're 19 or 20 or 21 is you want to get to the end goal immediately, but you kind of forget the very important process part. And I didn't get the basic training, the knowledge of bone structure and muscle structure. So somebody gifted me an amazing book, and then I just started digging in. And it was the very beginning of the pandemic as well. So this is around April. And a lot of indoor time, a lot that's good for
Yeah.
nerding out
I mean,
and
what a
studying.
gift.
I know. And it was perfect. That's when I listened to my intuition. When something is given to you, you should say yes to a lot of the opportunities, because you don't know how many doors could open from that.
Mm.
And just studying anatomy, I remember I shared it on my Instagram, and I gained like 300 followers immediately. And those are the people who study anatomy as well, and just kind of, I think, hopped in to see how I would progress with this knowledge, I guess. So yeah, I just, and the people, like, people are interesting, and I want to get to know people. I draw people, and that's just surface level things. And I really want to know what we are made of physically, and also spiritually, and everything. So that's where it really goes down to. Now I'm studying psychology.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm a huge people person.
So this is another thing actually, and we've spoken
Mhm.
about this quite a lot about the Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
What's it called? The Myers-Briggs. I've forgotten the
The
thing already.
personality test.
Personality
Yeah.
test. That's it. Yeah,
MBTI. Yeah.
yeah. And it's one of those things where once you get on board with looking into the things, you do start to not necessarily label people, but you start to just think about how other people think, and
Yes.
breaking down the way that someone thinks, it allows you to communicate better with them. Do you
Mm-hmm.
find that that has come into your artwork as well? Do you communicate
Oh my
better with the
God.
things that you're drawing, or make it communicate
Yeah.
better?
So since studying anatomy, I've been more obsessed with facial expressions and how much you can say with just eyes, or
Mm,
just a look. Like, everybody had, even though maybe I have one message, the whole point for me is to like trigger in a very good way, like ignite whatever it is. Like, people see my work and they feel something, and that is just, that's good enough for me. I just love that. And if people can find something beautiful or something weird and ugly in my work, I love that too. It's because that's a response. That's a very human response. You see something and you respond to it, and you kind
mm.
of need to listen to that and kind of go into, why do I feel that way? And then you kind of start to understand yourself more too.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I feel like humans just, we're all mirroring each other. We're all projecting our insecurities on each other when we're being mean, or when we're being kind, we're projecting the kindness that was given to us.
Mm.
So I just feel like humans are interesting, and we're all different. We come in different, like, I think we're all different machines. Like, I thrive in environments that are chaotic, and I have friends who thrive in very more controlled, neutral situations. So when you understand that, and I see somebody who feels a little bit awkward or uncomfortable, I want to just be that person who's like, come over here. I know, I'm just come over here. So I just want to be inviting to everybody. So getting to know people and knowing how to communicate, somebody who is a little bit more introverted or a little bit more shy, really is
Hmm.
helpful, and helps me understand clients as well.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the eyes of really drilling down into the emotion. So there's one piece of
Mm-hmm.
artwork that you sent over, this one here, which hopefully you can see that K as well.
Yes.
Um, this stood out to me so much. So of course the eyes are a key focus on here. But what I find
Mm-hmm.
so amazing about it is the way that you've illustrated the shadows and the highlights. Um, is this something that's been done digitally afterwards with like overlays, or are you sketching to a darker level of things? Like
Oh
the
no.
the end
Yeah, yeah,
outcome is
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, thank you. No, I never hear all these compliments in real life, so this is nice. No, I didn't. I don't really enhance anything in Photoshop. I try. The only thing I do is really clean up the edges so it's crisp, but I don't change the levels or anything. Whatever you see is what I draw. So yeah, I'm very simple. I think of myself as kind of like a scanner. I will draw what I see and what I want to see, And photorealism could get very boring when you just,
Mm,
a lot of people might be like, oh, you're just drawing a photograph.
hmm.
And that's very true. But also, my job is to kind of dig deeper and push it. So it's not just a photograph. It's like, why does it feel warmer? Why do I feel this way? So I kind of want to do that for people. And I think the authentic way to do it is actually draw it. And
Mm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with enhancing anything in Photoshop or digitally or adding filters, but I just want to share what I see and what I can do. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you've even
Mm-hmm.
shared with me before that a lot of the illustrations you've done, they're not actually people. They're people that you've made up.
Yeah, a lot of them are
That
made
where
up
does that come
people.
from? How do you just decide in your
Mm-hmm.
brain? You're like, okay, so this person's gonna look like that, and I'm just gonna draw it. Like, where does that come from?
Oh, I mean, I do source from all these photographs and a lot of references, but in the end, it's kind of like creating a collage. Like, I love collages since childhood. I was that kid who would cut things up and paste it all over their walls. Typical late 90s, early 2000s kid with a crazy yeah, all the posters on the walls and stuff. So I think that was just how, since childhood, I've been doing that. Like, I've been training myself in a way, unconsciously, to create a collage constantly. So I know, okay, I want to combine those eyes with that nose in this angle with this lighting. So it's kind of like connecting all the dots and working with all the materials that I have or I have access to. So I'm not doing anything very fancy, to be honest.
I mean, the end outcome is amazing. And there's actually a question in the chat of how do you study
Mm-hmm.
these subjects? And sorry, I've just realized I've had this background music that's
Mm-hmm.
going it's a bit loud for me, so I'm actually going to turn it off. Apologies for that.
Sure.
But yeah, how do you study these subjects? Do you take online courses or anything? Do you
No.
do any extra things, or is it just pure practice? Because I know your work ethic is just ridiculous.
I'm just an overachiever. Yeah, I only study what I'm very interested in. So I I think a lot of people assume I did well in school. I did not thrive in school at all. I only thrived in the subjects I was particularly interested. So all my childhood up until high school, I thrived in PE and art and maybe English.
All very
Excuse me.
collective subjects together.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense to where I am now because I'm realizing that what you do to your mind, you need to do to your body as well. So I like to move my body. I like to just start the day with meditation or exercise or something to get the body going, and then the mind starts flowing as well.
Mm.
But
What
mhm,
about going beyond people in your work? So
mhm,
the majority of what I've seen from you is mostly people based, and then sometimes people interacting with products. Like I think you've got
mhm.
some. Uh, is it the mirroring? Is your
Yeah, this is
series
my
of things?
new series, and I started drawing myself because I never ever drew myself before. And it was always a question a lot of my followers would ask, why don't you draw yourself? Why don't you show yourself more? And the whole point of that was that I draw so many other people all the time, I'm studying other faces, other cultures, other everything. And then during this pandemic, I realized that I was starting to get a little tired of trying to express myself through other people's facial expressions or other people's photographs. So I realized I'm like, what is authenticity? Like, I really, really think about these things like late night, no reason. But I'm like, well, how could I be more authentic? How could I get me and my message more straightforwardly? And
Mm,
I have to do things that make me uncomfortable. Like I
hmm.
mentioned earlier, you got to do things that are uncomfortable. If you want to get to the next stage or any island you want to go to. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to do what I'm most insecure about is drawing myself. And I don't even know why I was insecure about myself, But the more I get to know myself, I find out that I'm actually not that bad and I'm very interesting. So, and I really do want to share that. And I want more people to know that you don't need to source out external information or inspiration all the time. You already have everything you need. So for me, all I need to do was draw myself, share my environment, and talk about what I really feel. And I released a print last week thinking nobody would buy it because it's drawing myself. Yeah, the left one, I released that. And I think I printed 50 of those, thinking maybe 30 would sell. And I sold 100 something in 3 minutes. That's when I'm
Whoa,
like,
that is like festival level tickets.
it was like my own Coachella here. So I was just like, oh my God, the more I'm honest, people respond and
Mm.
people want this authenticity. Like, I'm pretty sure there are all these followers who are like, why is she drawing herself? We miss the old drawings. I completely understand. But I'm just going through a phase of, I think, discovering myself more. And I want people to know that they have everything they need.
Mm.
So you just have to dig deeper
Well, yeah,
and just keep on going.
one of the things that I've been heavily inspired by is your openness to sharing on your stories every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're drawing every day. That's how you've built up this talent and this incredible portfolio of work. But
Thank
the
you.
thing that it proves to me is beyond the work, beyond anything else, is that you've created a workspace that fits for you. You've made an environment that is perfect for you, and it works on inspiring yourself and keeping yourself energized. And you've got this whole rainforest of plants around your studio space, which I'm endlessly jealous of. But yeah, just opening up, and I can really see it in your social content that it's you are sharing that vulnerability that is what is so successful, and that as people we connect to in our artwork, and that's something that I personally want to work
Mm-hmm.
on more. I want to be more open on just sharing other things, and rather than always going for the finished product, I feel like that's something I've fallen into a lot, where I don't
Mm-hmm.
show I don't show my workings out. I just show the end result. And
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
just have this,
same.
it's been
Mm-hmm.
described to me by one of my good friends of having an opening ceremony, but you haven't told anyone where it is. You just finished and published, and that's that. Whereas you need to actually share the journey and
Mm-hmm.
share the process, and you definitely
Yeah.
do a fantastic job sharing the journey. And there's
Thank
some
you so
comments in the chat
much.
about your
Mm-hmm.
workspace and um, how it kind of fits with you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you would want to change or grow further about your workspace? Do you feel pretty content with it? Do you want to be in a bigger space, in a separate
Oh,
from your
I'm
home
never
to
gonna
your?
be content. I always want to grow bigger and more powerful and stronger. So eventually, yeah, I think what I do now, I want to create this environment that people could come in whenever they want to and just energize or chill or talk or just feel comfortable. So my whole like end goal in life is actually not really about my achievements as an illustrator anymore, as an artist. It's more about creating environments for people and the way you create this platform for people to come speak. Like, I'm so grateful for that. And you are using your talents and your abilities and your knowledge to do these live streams. Like, you helped me up set all of this up along with Yuka. Thank you, Yuka, for the camera and the lights and everything. Like, it's a collaborative process. And yesterday, I think before I wouldn't have shared that behind the scenes thing so much. But now I want people to know that if you want to become a stronger, more powerful person, you need to ask for help and you
Mm,
got to do it together as a community, who the people who raise you and like just lift you up, and you just lift each other up immediately together. And this
so
space that I'm creating, I want to recreate it in a much bigger scale eventually, so people can come in, maybe in Japan or maybe in New York, maybe around the world. And
yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
so
great. That's such a aspiring thing. I know you mentioned to me about having these sort of events and gallery space and things.
mhm.
Um, and your prints obviously going successful. Are they still available now if people want to go to your website and buy them?
Yeah, the one that I released last Friday, it will be available until the 13th. Yeah, the Moody. Peace Lily drawing will be available on my website until Friday, I think, 13th. That Saturday? Anyway,
Yep,
so
that sounds good.
available to the 13th. And then I'll be releasing another one very soon because I want, the whole point of me selling these prints is that I want to be able to use my whatever knowledge, powers, anything I have available to really give back to the community that raised me. And with everything going on in the world, a lot of, I don't really want to go into racism so much or anything, but there's a lot of social injustice going on. So if I could just sell some prints and donate 10%, 20%, like, or all of it or anything, that makes me so happy. Like, everything isn't about money and achievements. And I think people should know that more. Those are very important. I think money is a very important tool to use, but you got to use it wisely. And if you are given the opportunity to have that kind of money, I want to give it away to somewhere or someone who needs it.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
anybody who buys a print, they are helping me be able to do that. And they're helping themselves too by
Hmm.
just being part of the community and giving back.
That's one thing that I've kind of really taken on in the last like couple of years or so. I've never really been motivated by money. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I'm actually kind of scared by it. I run away from it
I
because there are
totally
extra
understand.
motivations and other things.
Yes.
And, you know, even doing so much work on things, and I would put in hours into my evenings on all of this work that is for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, and there's this goal that eventually it will get me to a place where I can feel comfortable in working on things, which thankfully it has.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not exactly taking in huge amounts of money personally. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest sort of turning points in my brain was you can, you know, work for money and you can be motivated by money. It doesn't mean the money's for you. It can go
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere. You can use your passion, use your talent to put it in other
Exactly.
places, and that's where the power is being able
Mm-hmm.
to push it on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
I
definitely
love
something that I
that.
want to work on more going forward. And
Mm-hmm.
it's great to see that you're already taking that on head on with things. So yeah, it's very commendable. Um,
Thank you. And so,
I'm just
and
going
you
to keep an
too.
eye on the chat to see if there's
Mm-hmm.
any questions coming in. So the eventual goal of these streams is that we can have like a weekly sort of hangout, aiming for
Yeah.
around 45 minutes or so. So we've got like some replay value and things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a lot of fun building this. This
Oh my
whole streaming
God.
setup
I
has
really,
been it's just so much fun.
I know. I think personally, because I know all your buttons and commands and the behind the scenes, I think it'll be interesting for your followers to see how you set this up and how you created this space for other people to be able to come in and talk. Like, I'm in New York and you're in London. It doesn't matter. Like, we can still hang out and people
Exactly.
can come in with the chats and hang out with us. So,
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if there are any questions that you've got for Kay
mhm.
on you know, any of your work and things, then please send them in, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. Going forward though, with this stream, likewise, you know, this is all a development process. There are some technical
Mhm.
things that I'm tweaking and building. There's some things that I wanted to include, but I actually ran out of time to do them. So next week, we'll get on board with that. And I believe next week's guest is already in the chat, actually. So Vince Perry. So I'll be doing a stream with him next Thursday, slightly later time because he's West Coast based. Because I
Mhm.
know this is early morning for you, or it's not too early for UK, but for
Yeah,
Vince
in
that
the
would
West
be way
Coast.
too early.
And for an
So
artist, nobody's awake at 8 a.m.
yeah, actually, you're a fairly early morning person, right?
Yeah,
Or
I
do your
just don't really
dogs make you
sleep
that?
that much.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
one of those.
I'm definitely a late night person.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty common knowledge with everyone I've ever interacted with. So I'm definitely not a morning person. In fact, the morning for me is late at night. So morning for me means going to bed at 6 a.m. That's my vibe on things. Um,
Whatever works. Whatever works.
um, Cool. So I think this has been a great stream. I'm just double checking through. The chat was moving quite
Hmm.
fast earlier and everything. But oh no, I've just refreshed the page. That's awkward. I've lost
Oh,
all the
okay.
chat.
Oh, let me look at the navy. I can see the comments. Oh my God, everybody in their kind comments. Thank you so much. Oh, Yuka mentioned your beam shirt. Do you want to talk about that? Your nice T-shirt.
We can, yeah, we can end on the chat with this. So this my one of my favorite t-shirts. This is my like highest premium quality cotton. Um, the t-shirt I'm most scared of eating any noodles with because I don't want anything splashed upon. It just reminds me of Japan all the time. Yeah, I can't wait to get back to
I
Japan. And hopefully
know.
we can be in Japan at the same time sometime
I know. That would be
and actually
great.
do some artwork collaboration in real life. That would be pretty cool.
That would be good.
So yeah, this is definitely going to be a good one. All right, I'm going to close out the stream here. So thank you to everyone who's joined in, and thank you, Kei, very much for sharing your work and your thoughts and your ideas on things. And I hope to see you all in the following weekly ones, and we'll tinker and play around and see how the show progresses. So yeah, thanks everyone, and we will catch you
Thank you, everybody.
real soon. All right, bye bye.